Today I wanted to talk about the change model. Alright, this is a follow-on from the purpose of the mind, so let's just recap purpose of the mind. I've got the video there, so if you haven't seen it, go back and check that out, because that is really important. It's about the foundations of everything that we're going to do together. We have the purpose of the mind, and the purpose of the mind obviously has a safety and survival mandate. It's a threat-based mind. Any information that comes our way will automatically go to fear-based stuff, or fear-based mechanism there. For us to think about anything other than fear-based, we have the hope and gratitude, and that needs to be a manual, conscious process to look at it in that way. We also spoke about the comfort zone, and the comfort zone being a space of known, and outside the comfort zone being a space of unknown. Now, we also then spoke about the anxiety is fear of the unknown, and once we go outside of our comfort zone, we then experience anxiety. Now, the mind perceives that as threat, and it will tell you everything and anything it can to bring you back into its comfort zone to keep you safe and to keep you alive, because it is part of a threat-based, fear-based mechanism and mind. What I wanted to talk today to you is about change and what that actually means. And we know that change sits outside of our comfort zone, and it sits in a space called the unknown. When we look at this, we've got this lovely thing called our comfort zone, we've got the known, and then we've got change which exists outside of it. We're going to look at this as a change model and the change as part of a journey. So on the way to change, we will experience a thing called discomfort. Now, we can expect discomfort to be there because we know that discomfort appears in the same space that change does, and that is the unknown. All right. So when we're looking at this, we've got comfort zone, we've got discomfort on the way to experiencing change. But when we look at the change, first we need a direction. That's where our goal is going to give us the direction in which we are going to move outside of our comfort zone. Now, the interesting thing about our goal is that the goal actually has some value, because otherwise why would we actually do it? Now, the other interesting thing is that our comfort zone also has value, because we actually stay in there, and safety and survival is probably one of the greatest values that our comfort zone has. And no wonder we stay in it so much, because it has such great value. Now, when I look at the value of changing, it has to have a greater value than staying the same. Because why else would I put up with discomfort if the value is equal or less than moving outside of my comfort zone? One thing we need to get into our heads is that the place that we are going to move to, that place of change, has to have greater value to you than staying the same and staying in your comfort zone, because you will experience discomfort on the way, right? One way we can look at this is when we look at the values, we then put out our values in relation to our goal. And then we also need to be aware, and this is part of awareness, which is a beautiful thing, about all the points of discomfort and how that is going to appear as we move along this area of change. Right. Now, when we look at discomfort, we not only have discomfort in relation to change, but we also have discomfort in relation to staying the same. So this is another interesting area, because as much as we need greater value for us to change, we also need to be aware of the discomfort of staying the same. And we can use the discomfort of staying the same to propel us outside of our comfort zone onto the path of change. Twofold thing here is that if we want to change, use the greater value of change plus the discomfort of sitting the same in relation to moving. So we use discomfort in staying the same to push us outside of our comfort zone, and we use the value of change to keep us outside of there. Now, when we start to look at this change model, we're really only looking at two things, and that is discomfort versus change. And whether you sit in your comfort zone or whether you exist outside of it into the change zone, you will experience discomfort and value. Become quite familiar with those. And when we talk about values, we need to be really aware of why and what the value is in staying the same. But more importantly, we need to be aware of the discomfort that we will experience when we move outside of our comfort zone. And the reason why we need to be aware of that is that if we are aware of it, we can invite the discomfort to be there and join us on the journey of change. Now, this is a really powerful and interesting concept because, just think about an invitation. If you send an invitation out to somebody, you actually want them to come to the gathering or party or event that you're inviting them to because you want them to be present. It's interesting to want discomfort to be present. However, once again, looking at some of the other videos, you can be grateful for stress, is that we can be grateful for discomfort because what it does is it's an indicator that we are outside of our comfort zone and that we are moving on our way to change. We actually want it to be there. Now, the beautiful thing about when you invite it is that you expect it to be there, because if you don't expect it to be there, it will surprise you. And when it surprises you, you will then be more likely to go back into your comfort zone because that's the idea of the discomfort, and that's the way that the mind works. And that sort of goes back to that gratitude and stress video that we've gone through that suggests that now we're changing our relationship with it. And if we don't expect stuff to be there and it appears, then we get stressed and then we go back to old learning. And old learning is around safety and survival mechanisms that we have done over many, many years. If we want to change our habits, we need to then create new learning. So when we invite things along, we expect them to be there. And when I expect things to be there because I've invited them, then I've also created some strategies to deal with them as they arise. So not only am I inviting it, I've also thought about it and I'm looking at the strategies that I can employ when it appears, because you're going to expect it to be there as well. Okay? Another way we can also, or another thing that we can be aware of here too, is that the motivation to continue with the change process will come from the values, because your values will be the anchor to keep you moving in that direction, and your values will allow you to accept the discomfort to be there, and your values will also allow you to create that invitation for the discomfort to be there as well. Now, let's flip over here back to a good old comfort zone. So think about the discomfort that you experience in staying the same, all right? Because we're going to use that as a way to propel you out of your comfort zone and into that area of change. Now, other things and what people have researched is that it's great to visualize your goal and also to visualize the value in relation to the goal, but more importantly, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, is to visualize the discomfort of staying the same, because fear is an interesting emotion and it's associated to so many other emotions that if I visualise the discomfort of me staying the same, you go, I just can't do this anymore, I need to move, this is just too terrible, I can't do this, And that type of interaction with yourself will then propel you to continue to move on as well. So that discomfort that sits in relation to staying the same can also act as a motivation to propel you as well. So it's interesting that values and discomfort appear in both spaces. And the more that we work with each other, we will start to focus on this further and further. I'll like to explain a little bit more about in some other videos around discomfort appears in the light of significance. And basically that discomfort is there because something is of value to you. Right. That's a pretty full-on session we've done there. We will go through this in session when you're hanging out with me a little bit more, but I just wanted you to have an idea and have a basic understanding of what we're looking at and how discomfort and values are very closely aligned, and they can work for you in both ways. But if you are not aware of them, they can certainly pull you back into your comfort zone and keep you from not achieving what you want and not achieving those goals. All right. Hope you got something out of that. I'll see you very soon, and we can follow this up through our sessions. Great. Thank you.